Welcome. Today we are going to be taking apart an Asus Vivobook S510U, and to start we're going to be using a small Phillips head bit. This is a 2.5. Go ahead and flip the laptop over, and then we're going to remove the screws in the bottom case. Alright, once you have those case screws out, we have a couple more here under the rear feet, so we're going to pull off the rubber feet on the rear and remove the 2 screws that remain. Alright, once you've taken those last 2 screws out, we'll go ahead and just lift up on the seam in the back here. And we'll just kind of work our way around until we get most of those little snaps popped out. So it definitely helps to have a straight edge or some kind of flat tool. And sometimes they like snapping back in after you've popped them out. So just work your way around, and eventually you'll be able to release the rest of this bottom cover. And then once you have that off, you'll have access to the inside of the laptop. Alright, so the first thing we're going to remove here is the hard drive caddy and hard drive. And it looks like we're going to have to remove the SSD as well to be able to slide that hard drive down. So I'll go ahead and remove the screw for that and just pull it up a little bit and then wiggle it down, and you can remove it. And now we can go ahead and slide the hard drive out of the SATA connector and remove it from the laptop. Alright, now we can remove the battery, so we'll go ahead and pop those Wi-Fi antennas off and then just unthread them from the battery and remove the remaining screws. Alright, so for this type of connector, we're going to need a small flat edge, and we're just going to pop it up off of the motherboard. Just slide the little retainer gate, I guess you would call it, and then we're going to pop it straight up. And remove the battery. Alright, you can also remove the RAM stick by spreading the little retainer bars and removing the RAM. And we can also disconnect the cooling fan connector And then the last screw for the fan. And it looks like it's also underneath the heatsink. Okay, it kind of wants to come out, but we'll go ahead and remove the heatsink anyways, since we're gonna have to do it eventually. So just remove the 6 screws, and it does not matter which order, but if you are putting on the heatsink, be sure to tighten down these screws in the order that's stamped on the metal part of the heatsink. This is to help tighten it down evenly and spread the thermal paste evenly as you're tightening it down. Alright, so we'll just wiggle that off, and then we can easily remove the fan. And we'll go ahead and remove that Wi-Fi card, just 1 screw, and pull it out of the connector. Alright, so the SATA board will come off on its own just by popping it up. We've already removed the screws, so we'll go ahead and remove that. And now we can go ahead and remove the connections to the motherboard for the display and the other stuff that's connected. Some of these you'll just pull out, others like the one for the touchpad and the keyboard, you're going to flip up on the little retainer, and that will allow you to remove the ribbon, and just it's a good idea to push it back down after you've removed the ribbon, just so the connector does not get damaged. Alright, so it looks like we have all of the connectors removed, and now we can go ahead and remove the hinge screws to finish freeing the motherboard. And then we'll get the rest of the motherboard screws as well. And for this step, it helps to have something small that you can poke through that little hinge. I'm just using a smaller Phillips bit, and that will allow you to move that hinge up and out of the way easily. But the trick is just to get the hinge started, and then you can move it up quite easily with the screwdriver. But at the very beginning it might be a little bit hard because the hinges do tend to be a little bit stiff since they have to hold the weight of the display. But once you pry it up a little bit with a straight object, you can get that screwdriver through there and move it up and out. Alright, so it looks like our motherboard is ready to be removed, and you want to lift it from the inside part, not from the port side, because usually you have to pull the motherboard out of the ports to be able to finish freeing it. So that's how you remove the motherboard. Alright, and now we also have the display assembly disconnected, so we can go ahead and just flip that palm rest up and finish removing the display assembly. Alright, also now that we have the hinge removed on this side, we can also finish removing the in-out board. All right, so we're left with the keyboard and touchpad. The keyboard is not removable. Touchpad looks just like a few screws along the top to be able to remove that. And the speakers are just held on by some rubber grommets. So that is it for the palm rest assembly. Alright, the display assembly we're going to leave complete, but for the purposes of this video, I'll go ahead and remove the bezel so you can see the inside. It was pretty easy. So the first thing you want to do is just get a flat edge in between the back cover and the bezel. And then we'll just go around and pop that bezel off of the front. It is really thin on the edges, so we'll just make sure to be careful around the sides there. It looks like it's only about a little over 1/4 inch wide. And then once you get to the bottom, just make sure that there's no adhesive there, which there is not. And then we'll go ahead and finish removing along the seam of the little bottom hinge cover. Alright, so after messing with it for a little bit, it looks like this bottom clutch cover has to come off first. So it's just popping out of the little clips, and then that will come off. And then we can finish removing the bottom bezel. So it is kind of, it has these little plastic tabs down there, which are kind of difficult to pull from behind that hinge, but just keep wiggling and you'll be able to remove that bezel. So for the LED LCD screen, there's going to be 4 screws, and then you can flip it up and remove that video cable right there, and that's how you remove the screen. Of course, you can see the hinge screws. There's 3 on each side to remove those hinges, and the webcam and the cable just kind of trace along the outside. So once you have the display open, it's really easy to replace any of the parts that you need to inside. You know, just a Phillips screwdriver bit and a little bit of messing with the cables. So that's how you disassemble an Asus Vivobook S510U. If this video helped you or you found it informative, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.